What if Oklahoma State really starts 6-0? Could the Cowboys crash the AP top 10 and put themselves in early playoff conversation? I'm joined by Payton from Rankings right now to map out the Cowboys' undefeated climb. I'm your professor, the WildUte, and I got here adjunct professor Payton from Rankings right now. And today we've got a special one on the docket, the What If series. What if Oklahoma State Cowboys go 6-0? Look, expectations are low for Oklahoma State, but let's just blow through that and say they go freaking 6-0. We're going to go week by week and find out what they would be ranked if they go 6-0. So Payton, why don't you tell some stuff about yourself?
So we have an algorithm called Rankings Right Now. And the idea behind Rankings Right Now is we're also interested in what the actual rankings are week to week, specifically with the AP Top 25 and the Selection Committee. Obviously, since we're talking about the first couple of games, the AP Top 25 is what we really care about. So me and a couple of my other engineering math nerd friends, we all got together and thought of an idea of, well, what if you could predict the rankings immediately as the games are going on, so that if Oklahoma State wins, they're going to move up here in the rankings, and if they lose, they're going to move down in the rankings. And one of the great things about rankings is you can still win your game, but there's all of the other games that are happening around you. You have the upsets of the teams that are in front. You have the upsets from the teams that are behind. There's a lot of mismatch going on. So it's not just a simple, you're going to move up, down, or down 2. You can move up 5 or down 15. It all really depends on what's going on with the field. So we have a full website that has everything dedicated to it.
Absolutely. And we're going to go game by game here and just theoretically say, hey, what if Oklahoma State goes 6-0? And starting out game 1 at Boone Pickens Stadium, the UT Martin Skyhawks. Payton, is this a win?
I think it's a win. It seems like who are we kidding here, right? If this was a loss, then nothing else really matters on this screen, right? But I think this one should be more of a layup than anything.
100% agree. 1-0, Oklahoma State. Now going into the big one, possibly one of the biggest games of the new Big 12 era. I'm serious about that, folks. If Oklahoma State wins this football game, it would be a massive statement. Oklahoma State at Oregon, Autzen Stadium, Eugene, September 6th. Oh, my goodness. What do you think about this one, Payton?
So one of the cool things about this is, it's not a absolutely no chance type of game, right? ESPN has them at a 8.2% chance of winning this game. That's not nothing, but it's definitely not something. You kind of have to balance the two. But if they can win this game, this is the enormous hurdle that takes them really giving them some momentum. There's going to be a huge hype train right there. Oregon's probably going to fall out of the top 10 if we look at that, if we look at those predictions on where that would land Oregon. But that is the biggest one by far that they have to overcome.
Whew, what a big win that would be. And that I just have to imagine that's going to bump their rankings up. I can't wait to see what freaking Oklahoma State looks like at 6-0, where they're ranked. He's got the data. I don't know it yet. I can't wait to find out. We're moving on. Oklahoma State in this hypothetical's 2-0 and going into a bye week and feeling dang good. And then moving on to week 3 here for them. Game 3, Tulsa, the Golden Hurricane. What do you think? They're going to get this win?
I think so. It makes the most sense. ESPN's giving them a heavy favorite on this. Also, no disrespect to Tulsa, but this would be a home game right after an Oregon win and they're 2-0. That stadium would be electric. So I think that would be a really tough environment for Tulsa to come in and try and wrangle all that.
I 100% agree. Oklahoma State is 3-0. They beat Tulsa handily after a bye week. The momentum is all over the Cowboys going into a massive Big 12 battle with the Baylor Bears. A lot of folks picking Baylor to win the Big 12 conference. Baylor's coming to Boone Pickens right after Tulsa. What about this one? What do the analytics say about Baylor, Oklahoma State here for Payton?
Right now, ESPN has Baylor at a 65% chance of winning this game. Obviously, this is also before we've seen any of the other games, so those numbers could definitely fluctuate. But kind of going back to what we just talked about, Tulsa, if the environment was electric for the Tulsa game, the environment would be ramped up about 4 more notches for that Baylor game. It would be crazy in that stadium. So do I think that that's perfect environment? That could even be a college game day type of environment as well. I would say that would be like a top matchup. Who knows exactly what would be going down, but that's for Oklahoma State having a 35% chance. If they would have already beat Oregon with a 10% chance, who's to say why they couldn't pull it off again?
4-0 Oklahoma State, and Stillwater is going absolutely insane. It is Oklahoma State fever, and we are going down next game at 4-0 to Arizona at the Arizona Wildcats. Arizona's picked almost near the last in Big 12 play. Oklahoma State is a really good shot at winning this football game. What do the analytics say?
Right now, ESPN's given it about a 50-50 shot between this game. So I think if Oregon was the toughest game on the schedule, same thing with Baylor. It's at home, but on the road, this would be since essentially a month since they had been on the road, this would be a really tough game for them to win on the road, regardless of where Arizona's been in the standings. College football, especially Big 12, who knows what's going to happen on any given Saturday. But that definitely would be a really fun game to watch.
100%. And in this hypothetical, Oklahoma State is 5-0, and I just have to imagine they are climbing up those rankings. I cannot wait to hear what Payton has for us with the model. What does it say? We will find out soon. But last, Boone Pickens Stadium, the Houston Cougars coming in. And I think that Oklahoma State, given all this momentum, is going to take care of Houston. What do the analytics say before the season, though?
ESPN's giving them actually the edge on this one, even more than Arizona. I don't know if it could be due to the home game, but really with all that momentum that would be going on, I could see Oklahoma State really being all fired off for this one. But there is always that little wrinkle of everyone thinks that there's good momentum. Oklahoma State is notorious for this, right? Having a really great start to the season. Everyone's saying, okay, this one's the year. And then a game that they should absolutely win at home, it all crumbles. So hopefully in this scenario, if we're wanting Oklahoma State to make it through, this should be a walk in the park. But I could also see this one being a really complicated win.
Cowboys, if you're 5-0, get this dub right here. Go 6-0. Half the season's over. Now, at the 6-0 time, where in the world is Oklahoma State ranked? I don't know yet. I'm going to throw a guess out, though. Man, you beat Oregon. You beat Baylor. I got to imagine that Oklahoma State is approaching the top 10, maybe even creeping in at number 9. I'm guessing that.
Okay.
What does your model say, Payton?
So the model right now is giving a wide range for Oklahoma State. In the event that Oklahoma State goes 6-0, the highest the model has them at 0.1%, which is 1 out of every 1,000 simulations, which is what we ran. 1 out of every 1,000 simulations has them at number 6. So they can make it all the way up there. There would need to be some big upsets to get them all the way from unranked up into that territory. But if we look at a top 10 finish, we are looking at 4.3% of all of the simulations that we run. In the event that Oklahoma State goes 6-0 with the schedule that they have, which is a tough schedule, there is a 4.3% chance that they're in the top 10. Now, someone could say, well, that's impossible. How could they not be 1 or 2 at that point, right? You're undefeated. It's because of the big boys up top. There's when it comes to rankings, even if you win, you could have Alabama playing the Citadel and they win 99-0. Alabama's not going anywhere. You can have the great win against Oregon. Texas and Oklahoma and Ohio State are playing each other to start off the year. They're 1-3. If whoever loses that game is not going to drop down to 15, right? It's a mega matchup. There are situations where you have those lopsided games and it might cause a little bit more of a drop. But for the most part, a lot of those teams early in the season are not playing very competitive games. They're kind of loosening up. They're warming up. The first game might be a tough opponent, but the AP poll is not going to just trash them after the opening day, right? We saw a little bit with LSU last year that they really dropped heavy, and then they crept right back up into that 15-14 spot for a little bit. So I really think that, if we look at 11 to 15, there's a 35% chance that they're going to be in that range. That seems pretty good to me. That in that scenario, you're looking right on the edge outside of that top 10. We're still in the top 12 for the college football playoff. That's the spot that you want to be going halfway through your season and really getting that momentum going.
It is jarring, though, to hear that only there's like a 3 or 4% shot to get into the top 10 based on what the model's saying. I think that your nails on that and everything, but I think Big 12 communities are going to just slap their heads saying,
"Oh,
what?
For sure."
Like, beat Oregon and Austin, right? But like that is the reality of the situation.
If we look at most the teams that are hogging most of that real estate up in the top 10, we're talking Texas, Ohio State, Georgia, Florida, Penn State, Bama, Clemson, Notre Dame, LSU, Miami, Minnesota's up there a little bit. Arizona State, in this case, got on a hot streak. UW is also on a hot streak, and Michigan's on a hot streak. So these are simulations, right? They can go a bunch of different ways. We ran 1,000 seasons through week 6. Those are the teams that are really hogging up most of that place. Arkansas has a little bit of it. Like, it's a lot of those SEC schools that are really up there. They have early dominance already in the AP poll. Same thing with the Big Ten. So if we're thinking of a Big 12 team, that's really hard to kind of maneuver around those teams, even though they're probably beating each other up. Right about at that week 6 mark is where those interconference games are happening. And that is when really you see more openings occur. But that beginning of the year, it's really hard to try and break your way in.
That makes sense and everything. So Oklahoma State, you'd still need to win a lot of games in the back half of the schedule to make sure you get in the playoff. But check it out. If Oklahoma State goes 6-0, they're likely to end up around top 10, probably 11 through 13 range based on Payton's analysis, rankings right now. Awesome stuff. Any final thoughts about Oklahoma State, Payton?
No, I think this is by far, if you look at the Big 12, when you think of teams that you kind of want to see go on a run, this would be a really fun run to see. It's not like a traditional 6-0 where they might have had a little bit of competition. These are some really big heavy hitters, and even the ones that are your standard Big 12 game can get really gnarly. So I think that this would be a really fun situation. It's not about where you start, it's where you finish. And they're looking at a really great spot of being in that 13 to 15 range going into the second half of the season. It would be all in front of them at that point.
Awesome. Good stuff, Payton. Thanks. That's the undefeated climb and the projected AP Top 25 ranking. Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't flunk the what if dream. Class is dismissed.